Hello YouTubes, my name is Lancheres and this is SEO Optimized Titles. So forget what you previously knew about writing titles to rank on Google. Google's changed the rules and we need to do things differently if you want to rank on page 1 of Google. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are new rules. Google's changed the game and we need to adapt. We need to write better titles, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do that. So let's start by looking at the focus techniques, a keyword called focus techniques. So if you're trying to rank position 1 on page 1 of for focus techniques, you'll notice that the page titles don't actually include focus techniques. So this is called the exact match keyword, and all the titles don't include the exact match keywords for your main keyword. So I'm going to be showing you how to rank on page 1 without using the keyword. So I'm going to show you how to rank for your keyword without using the keyword in the title, or actually without using the exact match keyword in the title, because that is what Google is rewarding for certain queries right now. So I hope you're kind of excited and interested. But before we start, who am I? Who's this guy speaking to you? Well, my name is Lancheres. I'm the founder of Traffic Research. I've been a speaker at many SEO conferences, SEO Rockstars, Internet Marketing Party, and I'm about to reveal to you everything you need to know to create optimized titles that rank well on Google, get a lot of clicks, and make you a lot of money. So we're going to be talking about the old and outdated practices, what you might be doing or you might see on the net. There's actually a lot of people that are just doing it wrong, and this is an advantage because you'll be able to capitalize on what they're doing wrong and just outrank them. I'm going to tell you the new rules of ranking on Google with regards to titles, and I'm also going to go through how to craft a powerful title that's going to produce some good Google rankings for you. So this is all about ranking on Google, making that money. Let's jump into it. So let's talk about outdated titles. What are outdated titles? So if you're brand new, this might not apply. Just use the new rules. But if you've been doing SEO for maybe a little while, or maybe you've seen other information, it's likely that the other information is wrong. Because back in the day, what we used to do is if you wanted to rank for a keyword on Google, you would have to use the exact match keyword in the title, and you wanted to place the exact match keyword at the front of the title, and you wanted to minimize the amount of non-keyword words. So shorter titles were better, and having the exact match right at the beginning was the best. Pretty much all of this has changed. And even as a bonus, what you used to be able to do, this is a while ago, like 2007, 2009, 2011, is used to be able to keyword stuff the title with multiple keywords separated by dashes. What do I mean by that? Well, here's a few examples of stuff that used to rank almost a decade ago, and people are still practicing these same techniques today, but they don't work today. So this is why, if you have an older website, or maybe you've learned SEO from an old course or something, then this is outdated information that you need to not do today. You need to change. So if you old titles that might have worked would be Buy a Viagra Online or How to Talk to Girls, and that was it. Like that's all you wrote, and then you were good. And even what I meant by front loading is you would put your title at the beginning, your keyword at the beginning. So if you were going for best hotels, you'd start the title right off the bat with best hotels and Las Vegas, Cancun, New York, Paris, and all that, and you'd start keyword stuffing it with all these locations you want to rank for. So that's how we used to do things. And this is pure keyword stuff with titles. And I'm telling you, you still see this today because people haven't adapted, where they just put a whole bunch of keywords and they put a dash in between, and then they call it a day. So they'll have cell phone cases, dash, Samsung Galaxy cases, dash, iPhone cases. It's hilarious. And that's how you know a page hasn't been updated or they are following old rules. So this is what the old practices used to be, and this is what people used to teach, but we don't want to do any of that today. So now one of the most important rules that used to be like a must do would be to use the exact match keyword in the title. And now, kind of like, I'm going to spoil the surprise here. You can still do it in some instances and for some keywords. However, for the majority of keywords, that's actually no longer valid. So let's say you're going for fancy leather jackets, and that's the keyword you want to rank for. Well, buy fancy leather jackets online store name. This used to be the exact way that people used to rank. So breathing techniques, 10 best breathing techniques for stress relief. Now, these are not necessarily bad. They still can work. However, they have been replaced, and Google is starting to be smarter and starting to reward slightly different things. So you don't believe me? Go check it. Go do a Google search right now. Check it. So here's breathing techniques. If I type in the keyword breathing techniques, number one result is breathing exercises. 3 to try, 4-7 breath, Andrew, by Andrew Whale, MD. The next one, so breathing technique, the actual keyword does not apply, it's not in here. The word technique isn't even in here, and yet they are ranking number one. Number two, deep breathing exercises and techniques. So they actually include the word techniques, which we're going to go over, but it's not the exact because they're separated. So it's breathing exercises, space, techniques for stress management. See, in most cases, Google prefers real words over, or even prefers the word exercise over the word technique. So we're going to see that sometimes Google prefer, even if you write techniques, it'll prefer to return words such as exercises. It's these big shifts in how Google understands your query and understands your text. So you're using artificial intelligence, and now they are understanding the queries and they're returning the results to basically answer those queries. So if you just write breathing techniques and then that's it, or you just write 5 breathing techniques, you're probably not going to rank. You need a better title, and you need this modern title that Google is now rewarding. All right. You can still use the exact match title, like I mentioned, but most of the results now don't have it. All right. So, yeah, you actually have to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it's only position number 6 that is the first one to have the word breathing techniques. So you're not completely lost if you're still using exact match, but you want to rank number 1 of page 1, right? So if you want to put yourself in the best position, you're not necessarily going to want to use the exact match. All right. So that's kind of like the big change that people need to adapt. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because most of the keywords right now don't have the exact match keyword in the title. So essentially what you're trying to do is you're ranking a page without mentioning the keyword that you're trying to rank for in the title. Crazy. But like, this is not a fixed rule, and there's still some keywords to know that, still reward the exact match keyword. Sometimes it is going to be for how to. So let's say you take how to talk to girls. You're going to have the number 1, how to talk to girls, how to talk to girls, how to talk to girls. For this specific keyword, especially longer how to keywords, the how to is still the most rewarded one. So this actually begs the question, like, are these ranking just because, everyone that created these really optimized it, so it has a bunch more links and better on page and so forth? Or does Google still prefer this exact match keyword for this query? Because sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes pages will rank that bend the rules just because they do everything else right. So maybe these guys just have a whole bunch of links, and even though Google doesn't necessarily prefer that title, it is still ranking just because of pure links. All right, so what we know for sure is that exact match titles are no longer the norm on first page. However, if you optimize other factors, they could still rank number 1. So you're not completely lost if you're using old exact match titles, but A, you don't want to keyword stuff, and 2, there are better ways of doing it. So I've gone through a ton of data. I do this day in, day out. I mean, I teach this stuff and I research it, and I do SEO all the time. And just for this, I actually went through a lot of data, and machine generated correlations of thousands of words and manually reviewing dozens of terms. And look, I've just checked out a whole bunch of data. And if you want to know, if you want more of this, by the way, you should definitely subscribe to our channel. It helps out the channel, helps me out, it's encouraging, and I have a whole bunch more stuff to share with you. All right, cool. Let's resume. So here are the new rules for ranking titles on Google. All right, so now the title is less important. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You're trying to figure out how to write titles so you rank better on Google, and I'm just telling you, hey, it's not as big of a deal. So back in the day, the title used to be one of the most important things you could do, and now the title seems to count for slightly less. But what you write in the title counts for slightly less. However, the click-through rate of the title seems to be more important than ever. So it's kind of counterintuitive, where the title, the words in the title aren't as important, but it is very important that you get a whole bunch of clicks. So whatever you write in your title, if a whole bunch of people are clicking on it, that is going to be by far the most important thing. So if you have a very cool angle or something that's very interesting, or you have something very valuable that you need to tell people about it in your title to better describe your page. So the click-through rate of your title is now the most important thing. So click-through rate is if whenever, there's a whole bunch of listings, you want a whole bunch of people clicking on your title. That's going to be the number one thing that you need to keep in mind. So when we are writing titles, the number one thing we want to do is optimize for click-through rates. So however you craft your title, if you just put, let's say we go, does vitamin C work? If I were to just have a title that says, does vitamin C work? We were using the exact match title and I just cut it there. It wouldn't be a very appealing title. Not many people would click on it and Google wouldn't rank the page at all. So what we want to do is we want to create a title that is very clickable, that builds on curiosity, and that people are very interested to find out what is on that page. What does that page say? So that's the ultimate title for Google these days. It's the ones that are going to have the highest click-through rate. So for example, vitamin C, this is a really good title right here. Can vitamin C prevent or cure colds? I really want to know. Like if I'm looking up and I'm doing anything on vitamin C and I see this title, I'm like, okay, well, what did this latest study say? Does vitamin C actually prevent or cure colds? Like, what's the data on this? Very, very, very good title. And you're going to see it doesn't include does vitamin C work at all. This is not written, and this is the keyword, but this is an excellent title because it builds curiosity. So anyone that's looking for does vitamin C work is going to be clicking on this. So you could think of this as the question and the title is the answer. So if you could have a really appealing answer to whatever question the query is, you're going to get a very high click-through rate and you're going to rank very well on Google. So that's kind of one of the big secrets, is make your titles extremely clickable and pretend that whatever keyword or whatever you want to rank for is the question, and the title should be the first part of your answer, or it should essentially promise the answer of what you're looking for. Okay. So the next one is going to be keyword length impacts prominence. So what do I mean by that? Well, the shorter the exact match keyword, the more likely it is to be included as is in the title. So for instance, if you are dealing with a long keyword, it's usually not going to appear as the long keyword, but if you're dealing with a very short keyword, it is likely to appear as within the title. So for instance, if I'm just looking for best drones, almost all the results include best drones, best drones, best drones, best drones, best drones 2020, 2021, 2022, and so forth. It's always going to include the small word because the keyword is only 2 words long. So 1, 2. If I'm looking for types of printing material is a much longer keyword, usually it's not going to appear at all, and it's going to be broken up into chunks. So you're going to have parts of the title, it's going to be talk about printing, other parts of the title, it's going to talk about material. So depending on the keyword that you're going for, whatever term you want to rank for, if it's very short, you're likely to have it exactly in the title. And if it's longer, let's say 3, 4 words, it's usually going to be broken up into bits and parts and even completely different words that are related. All right. So number two, wait, I was already at number 2. So number 3, what am I talking about here? Like, links and click-through rate overpower titles. What do I mean by that? Well, as I was mentioning at the beginning, like titles are now more impacted by click-through rate, and the value of the exact title has diminished a bit during the previous years. So for very high competition terms where the companies are dedicating considerable resources, the titles just doesn't seem to matter as much these days as it did in the past. So that's a good thing. If you're writing titles, you have a bit more creativity as long as the result is good. And in many ways, this might be because some SEOs are still stuck doing old things, but if you still have a whole bunch of really good links, the content on the page is really good, you could still rank even without an amazing title, as long as the title is getting a whole bunch of clicks, which is the click-through rate. So for buy Viagra, you have buy a Viagra, you have the exact term, buy a Viagra exact term here. Can you get Viagra without a doctor's prescription? These all have a whole bunch of links. They have really good on page. So even though they're using the old rule, which would be to put the keyword exactly at the front, they are still ranking in spite of the old practices they're using, because they're throwing a whole bunch of links at it. So what I'm trying to ultimately say is, as long as you craft a good keyword, a good title, it won't prevent you from ranking, but you can get an advantage if you do it correctly. So here's an anecdotal observation. This may or may not be a coincidence, but I saw many results in position number 1 and number 2 contain the exact match keyword, and then the rest of the results didn't contain it. So it's possible that Google is split testing exact match versus natural titles to see which one works best for each query. So for some queries, if you didn't know, Google is always split testing every single keyword. So whatever keyword there is, they're always trying to figure out what is going to be the top result that is going to get the most clicks. What are people really looking for? So they're always split testing, and they're always trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it is possible that they are split testing types of titles. So when you are going to be writing a title for a keyword, what I recommend that you do is look the keyword up. So if you look at the keyword up and you have a whole bunch of results that have the best match, the exact match, then you could put the exact match in a title. But if you look it up and none of them have the exact match, then definitely don't do it, or else you're just going to be shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to be helping yourself. You're going to be penalizing yourself if you do that. So the easiest way to find out is honestly to Google the keyword, see what the other people that are ranking number 1, number 2, number 3 are doing, and that is going to be a good indicator of what Google is recording or rewarding for that specific keyword. All right, now crafting the ideal title. How do you craft your ideal title? All right, number 1, Google usually starts and looks at one main keyword, one main word within your keyword. So it looks at kind of like the root word. So what do I mean by the root word? Well, every kind of string of sentence, every sentence, I guess, every keyword has kind of like one foundational, like one root word, one word that is more important than all the other ones. So in a title such as nice printing paper, Google understands that the one root word is going to be paper, right? So nice printing could mean many things. Nice is just like, it's a generic term. Printing is very, it goes into many different areas, but paper, now Google knows what they want. They want some sort of paper. So they're going to be looking at paper first, and then they're going to be branching out into printing paper, and then they're going to be branching out into nice printing paper. So the root word here is going to be paper, and that is the most important word that you always must include in the title. You have to figure out what the root word is, which is the most important word of the keyword, and then you must include that in the title to increase your odds of ranking. So that's going to be in this here, paper. Let me show you a bit more. So you're going to notice here, we have a whole bunch of variations in the title. So here, nice printing paper. This doesn't say nice at all. It doesn't even say printing. It just says paper and stationery. See, you could see that Google is omitting all the other words, but they found that paper was the root word, so you need to have paper in the title. Here, how to choose paper quality, understanding paper weight, and all that, right? Once again, they're not saying nice. They're not even saying printing. They're just saying paper. So Google understands that the root word, paper, is the most important word. So that is, whenever you're trying to go for a keyword, figure out what the root word is, and you must include that. All the other ones, not as important. So that's going to be rule number 1. You got to start with the main word of your keyword. Now, how can you figure it out? Well, you can just literally ask Google. First of all, the easiest way is just you go and you look up the keyword, and you're going to see all the paper is repeating over and over and over again. You're like, oh, that must be the root word. All right, cool. And you can see that nice isn't even in there. The next way is you can actually use Google's natural language processing tool. So if you go to cloud.google.com/natural language, they're going, and you put your keyword in, you get a demo here. You put your keyword into their tool. This is literally Google's tool. It will tell you what the root word is. So here I put nice printing paper. Here it says root paper. Yay, cool. Now we know what the root word is. It's a very easy trick. It'll tell you straight from Google's mouth. All right. So now, okay, look, here's the kind of caveat like that I need to mention. This works 90% of the time, but it doesn't work 100% of the time. Sometimes it appears as if Google's search engine might use slightly different data, or maybe this data is just outdated and Google's search engine is split testing. I don't know what it is. This aligns and this works 90% of the time. So that's my go-to way. But like I said, you can just go and Google it, and usually it'll be fairly obvious what the root word is. All right, cool. So check this out. How to mine Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be the root word. So mine is the complementary term, so it's also very important, but the root word is going to be the most important one. So here, how to mine Bitcoin, you have the exact match title at the front. Okay, cool. But here you have Bitcoin mining, how to mine. So Bitcoin is going to be that root term, and all of these have different variations, but Bitcoin is always going to be present in the title. That is the most important word. So that is that's going to be the most important factor. And here's the other thing. This is kind of okay. Yeah, let's go back to here. What I want to point out is sometimes when you have a better title, you're actually going to be able to rank higher with less links. So here I'm pulling out, and we see that result number 2 or 5 here, actually result number 5, but it's right below the top stories. It's kind of like almost number 2. It's result number 2, depending on how you're looking at it. This one has a lot less power than the number 1 result because they have a better title. So the title is likely leading to a better click-through rate because they have Bitcoin mining, how to mine the complete guide. It's a very, very good title. And this is for the term how to mine Bitcoin, right? So they're not using the exact match. They have a very appealing title, very high click-through rate, and therefore they have 60 backlinks while the number 1 position has 324 backlinks. They have a lower DR while the other ones have 90. See, right below them, they have 1,200 links. They have a higher DR, and these guys are outranking them, most likely due to a better title. So that is going to be the power of titles. It could also be slightly due to on page, that is for sure, but I believe this is really powered by a really good title that's actually giving them the advantage. So the reason I'm showing you this is just to tell you that when you're looking at the search engine results, even though you're going to have crappy titles like this, how to mine Bitcoin, and that's it, sometimes the reason that these guys are ranking, it's not because they have a good title. This title isn't even that good. Instead, the reason they're ranking is in spite of their title, where they just have a whole bunch of DR, they have a whole bunch of UR, they have really good backlinks, and that is kind of like overpowering the fact that they have a not so good title. So title is one ranking factor. It helps. I'm showing you how to build the best best titles you could possibly build. But it is not going to automatically give you number 1 if your competitors have a whole bunch more backlinks and more power. All right, cool. Let's move on. So number 1 rule is going to be to have the root word of your keyword inside your title. Number 2 is going to be to use a whole bunch of complementary and relevant words. I actually call these entities. So, but in that we also call them complementary words. It's very easy to understand. Sometimes it will be synonyms or related words in Google. So these will sometimes be highlighted in bold. So if you do the search breathing techniques, you can see in bold Google highlights stuff in the meta descriptions or in the descriptions. In here, when we type in breathing techniques, they highlight breathing exercises. How crazy is that? So we know that exercises is related to techniques according to Google. So what you could do is you could substitute the complementary words. So exercises for techniques and guys for men. So I think somewhere around here, yeah, guys for men, exercise for techniques. Essentially what you're trying to do is whenever you craft your title, you want to have the root word and then use a whole bunch of complementary and relevant words. So these are very important and they could vary drastically. So for an example, breathing techniques, you can have breathing exercises, relax quickly, because we know that techniques is related to exercise, and we actually know that relax is going to be related to breathing techniques. So this is going to be a related word. And another related word is going to be stress. So whenever people are looking for breathing exercises, Google understands that stress is a complementary word, is related to breathing techniques. And so using these related words within the title will actually increase relevance. Usually people will just click on it more as well, and this will increase your rankings. So this is how we are moving more towards natural titles rather than just using the exact match and calling it a day. All All right, so the order of words. Of course, you have the option to not change complementary words and use the exact match in your title. Like we've discussed, it's not the preferred way these days, but it's still working for some keywords. So for instance, 3D printing materials. Materials for 3D printing sculpture. You got printing materials for 3D projects at home. You got printing in 3D, which materials are the best. So we're still using the same words. We're just changing the order to make the title more appealing. So what I'm essentially breaking down and what I'm trying to highlight here is that here on the first one, we actually use the word material right at the beginning. So I'm kind of taking this and I'm like, cool, I want to use the word 3D, I want to use the word printing, and I want to use the material. And I'm throwing it all around the title wherever I want to make it as appealing as possible and to increase click-through rate. So here I'm using the word printing at the beginning. So printing material for 3D projects. Here I'm using printing in 3D, which materials are the best. So you can see if the exact match keyword is here, we have all the words here. We have all our 3 words, and you could pretty much use those 3 words anywhere you want in your title. The order of the words doesn't matter anymore. If you just have the title, if you don't, sometimes you don't even need to use all the words. You just need to use the actual, the root word. But if you want to use the words, you could just throw them around and change the order. Essentially, that's all I wanted to say. Change the order of the words around. Google will recognize and still give you relevance for it. So the ideal title, essentially, the reason you might want to change the order of the words around is to produce a higher click-through rate. So the number 1 result of this page doesn't mention nice anywhere on the page, but one small backlink actually says nicest in the anchor text. So Google, when they're trying to rank your page, will be looking at your links at the on page and also at the anchor text of your links. So that's kind of why this one is ranking number 1, even though they don't say nice at anywhere on this page. All right, cool. Now, some ideal title examples. Let's just run through some examples. Sometimes people learn better this way. I'm one of those people, I just see a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, okay, those are the types of titles I'm going to copy. So if I'm trying to rank for how to play poker, I'm actually going to start with the root word, right? See, we were talking about the root word right at the beginning. Poker, how to play and win, rules, tips, and strategies. Now, I'm including the exact, I'm applying everything here. I'm including the root word right at the front. It doesn't need to be at the front, but I'm just including the root word. Poker, how to play and win. I'm trying to make the title as appealing as possible. And this should be, how to play and win is going to be very, very enticing, I would assume. And then I'm putting related and complementary words, which is going to be rules, tips, strategies. So this is everything applied to create an ideal title. How to mine Bitcoin. Once again, Bitcoin is going to be the root word. We're going to have Bitcoin mining. How to mine. Complete guide. So I'm actually using everything here. I'm doing the same thing over again. We're actually taking the long keyword. We're breaking it up. We're using a root word, and we're using words that are going to be related to the topic. So mining is definitely going to be related to how to mine Bitcoin, right? So there you go. Vitamin C benefits. Vitamin C, the new health benefits discovered by scientists. So all of these, we're always trying to make it as clickable as possible. A nice printing paper for higher quality printing on home printers, right? I've gone through so many nice printing paper examples. Let's move on. All right, so kind of a summary here. The ultimate titles will include the root word within a keyword. They'll optimize for click-through rate. They'll include related words to the keyword, and those could actually be the exact ones. They could be synonyms. They'll be close related to or highlighted in bold when it's within a search results. I actually developed a tool called the Mega On-Page tool, which will just literally give you the related words. So if ever you're a member of traffic research, I actually have a tool called the Mega On-Page tool, and it'll pull out all the related words to help you build a title. So that's actually really cool. With longer keywords, having the exact match keyword will typically not yield the best results. So that's kind of like a general rule. If your keyword is super long, like how to play guitar, blah, 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 usually you're not going to have the exact match keyword in the title as the best option. And with shorter keywords, if it's a really short keyword, such as best drones, then the exact match keyword will be in the title and it'll be acceptable. All right, cool. So there's always exceptions. Like I mentioned, sometimes you're going to see weird stuff online, usually because of links or domain authority, or just because there's no better results for the other terms, but these are going to be your ideal titles. All right, so that's it for titles. We went over all the concepts. You should be equipped to write new good titles that are getting high click-through rate. Remember, that's the number one thing with the root keyword. Put the words in any order and use as many related terms as possible. The ones I like to use are called Google entities, and I typically get them using the Mega On-Page tool, which just does everything for me. In fact, Mega On-Page tool is part of traffic research, and traffic research is where I teach SEO. I do case studies, I develop new tools, I develop trainings, I test things out, I share what works. And if you want, you could apply for traffic research right now. Go to the link in the description here. If you're building a website, you want the insider tricks to rank better than everyone else, you want the advantage that other people won't know, and you want tactics that aren't available on YouTube, then traffic research is my private community. This is where I share all my secrets, usually a year or two before anyone else ever finds out about them. We do case studies, we help out members, we help business owners and SEO agencies. So this is actually for medium to advanced people to really get the top-notch information regarding SEO. I break down search engine algorithms, and we also help people recover traffic whenever they lose some. There's a whole bunch of stuff inside. So there's a whole community inside traffic research. If you want, it is my paid community. I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's definitely affordable if you're doing SEO. And it is invite only, so you have to apply. Applying is free though. So if this sounds like something that would be cool, something that could potentially help you, then apply now at mytrafficresearch.com. That is my community, and we're actually always improving our community. Everything's posted like every single week. There's always new stuff, new case studies, new tools, new everything. In fact, I'm actually doing an update on the Mega On-Page tool, which the Mega On-Page tool, I think I've mentioned it like 2-3 times during this thing. It's because it's related to titles. We use it to build titles because it will tell you all the best and most relevant words for your title. So whenever you plug in your keyword, it'll tell you, okay, you probably want to have this in your title. You probably want to have this in your title. And you probably want to have these words on the page. So it just makes everything easier, which is why I was mentioning it. But I didn't want to make it a must-have for this YouTube because I know not everyone will have access to it. So there's that. I'm also developing other programs and other ways of getting new link techniques inside traffic research. So anything SEO, or even if you something completely different, we have the advanced forums. We even have the secret forums. So got you covered. If you think you're a good fit, apply now. And if you just want to hang out on YouTube, that's cool too. No pressure. Just subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, take care, man. Ciao.